While on a trip to Glasgow, I popped into Lidl to see what technical delights they had. And one of the things they had, it was being cleared off. This was about £12 or something like that. One of the things they had was this ferrule kit. Now, wire ferrules are basically little sleeves that go onto the end of wires. And interestingly, right at this point that I'm just starting to make this video, eFIXX have dropped a video about this as well. I'm not going to watch the video. I'm going to do my take on it, and then I'm going to watch the video and see if there was anything that I could have learned from their video. But the idea is that you select the correct size of ferrule. This is a 1mm ferrule, and this is a 1mm cross-sectional area flex, and it's designed for where you get very fine strands that would normally splay in a screw terminal. And I'm going to zoom down this. In fact, I'll just move these out the way at the moment. I shall take the tool out and move it out the way so you can see this better. So there's the loose strands. Now, you do not twist them together, because if you twist them together, they actually increase in diameter a little bit with the spiralling. And it means that if they loosen, they can actually pull straight back out again, or it loosens the grip. So you take the appropriate sized ferrule and you carefully put it in, making sure there are no George Michaels, careless whiskers. And you may find it useful just to spin it around. And ideally you're going to get a wee tiny bit sticking out then, but not too far, but you can crop it down afterwards. And then this tool here, it's the spring-loaded one that you can actually set the tension on here. But it's got these four very neat jaws that close in like that. I'm going to have to unlock it now by pushing it all the way. And when you stick the crimp into that, just the metal section, and then you close it in, it puts a series of indents along the crimp. It closes it in, puts a series of indents in, and then it's really tightly onto the wire. And the final bit for that is when you put it into, say, a screw-down terminal, like, well, there's a good example of screw-down terminal. You'd have to crop it for this one. But the little screw-down terminal like this, that will add a little bit of pinching pressure too. So let's see what came in the kit. It's worth mentioning that the loose strands, one of the most useful applications of this is in control panels, where you're going into the DIN rail terminals, and sometimes it's not terribly visible. When you're working, you're basically sticking the wire up into a sort of area you can't look directly into in those terminals. So you kind of jiggle it until it sits in, and then you tighten it up and give it the usual pull to test afterwards. But this is great because the ferrule keeps those strands together and just ensures that they don't splay with screws going down them, or the little rising clamp just mushes them in an incorrect way. And an instant occurred, well, many instances have occurred, where you've had those little loose strands of wire where people have been terminated and they've twisted it, but as they've pushed it in, it's just peeled one of the wires strands off and it's stuck to the side. And a good example of that is on an elevator, where it bridged onto the adjacent contact, and it was just basically a tiny little super thin strand of wire, but it was enough to bypass a complete safety circuit. So now you've seen it, there is another one that I've got here that came from either eBay, I think it was eBay, and well, I'll zoom down this one and show you it, because this one's different. It's got the 6 jaws that close in, and it produces a very different effect. I can show you the effect it produces because I crimped a couple earlier on, and where one of them is very boxy and square looking, that's the 4-sided one. The other one has done that very distinct pattern all the way around, and they're both on very tightly. It's good. So let's look at what we get in the kit. Oh, something worth mentioning. I personally don't use these in Wago or Vago terminals because I feel that part of the gripping is that the screw gets clamped down onto it. I'm not comfortable with putting them into something like this fetching pink, completely fake Wago terminal, because I feel that it's kind of defeating part of the function of this terminal, which is to apply spring pressure to twisted flex so that as it settles out, well, that just pinged out there. Probably because this is a cheap Chinese clone, and also because that stopped it from going all the way in. Well, that's a good reason not to use them in the Vago type terminals. But I feel that the purpose of the spring-loaded terminals is to bite down in those wires, and as they move, just to bite down further and just get a good key and grip into them, and that kind of defeats it in these, so I don't recommend that. Anyway, others may have different ideas. Now, did I say Wago or Vago? Vago is the correct pronunciation, or Wagner Albrecht, who invented the Vago terminals. But many people say Wago because it doesn't translate too well, the W being pronounced V in other languages. Now, I have filed one of these. I'll tell you in a moment what size you get and what numbers. I filed one of these. I was hoping it was going to be copper. That would have been ideal, tinned copper, but it's brass. That's okay. It's not. I'd rather it was copper, but copper's expensive. Brass is an alloy that includes copper, I think. I think it is. But it's fine. It's good enough. Okie dokie. So this thing comes with a guide to the colours and the number that are included. It also gives a little manual for how to use it. And what you get are, the white ones are 0.5mm, and you've got 300 of those. The grey is 0.75mm, and you've got 200 of those. The red is 1mm, you've got 200 of those, and then it jumps over to here. Black is 1.5mm, and you've got 450 of those. They're really going all to town in the 1.5 and 2.5. The blue is 2.5mm cross-sectional area, 450 of these. The grey is 4mm, you get 100 of these. The yellow is 6mm, you get 60 of these. And the red is the biggest for going into things like isolators, breakers, big terminals. You get 40 of these 10mm terminals. It's very generous. I shall put that, just in case you lose your little guide here and you're not sure, I'll put it down in the description of this video. Now, have I covered everything? I think I've covered everything. You do get another tool for crimping these, and it's basically a pair of pliers with a little V indent, and as you close it, it pushes the cable, the crimp, into a sort of kind of V shape and folds in a bit and puts some ridges along it. In a way, these ones, and I'm quite happy with the 4-way one. I went for the 6-way one from the eBay listing. It's a bit more expensive, but I thought it was quite interesting. I wanted to see it, how it worked and stuff like that. But to be honest, the 4-way one is fine because, as I say, the final part of the tightening is when you put it into the terminal and clamp it down. But that's it. The Lidl generous crimping set for these ferrules. It's actually a good set. There are supposed to be bits of plastic here. I wondered why there were loose bits of plastic. It's obviously this box has been dropped at some point in time. It's supposed to hold this better, but it doesn't matter. But there we have it, the Parkside crimping tool set for the wire ferrules as per DIN 46228. 1,801 pieces. It's a very generous set. Very good indeed, actually. Quite impressive.